Welcome to another edition of Outspoken. I'm Dan Sileo here, and we are 1 week away from Super Bowl 60 and Super Bowl Sunday. One of the biggest events in all the world. One of the biggest events that people will see almost 130 million folks tune into. It's become a massive event. I mean, in years past, it used to just be radio stations that were local that were showing up. Now it's a media event. Now you have influencers. You have everybody showing up. Look, I've saved all of my credentials. Look at this one right here. This is Super Bowl 50. We are now going to Super Bowl 60. It's the greatest event in American sports. It's the greatest event that people get gravitated to. And again, one of the most bet on events in all the world as well. Absolutely so many great storylines going into this one. Here in a week, we will see the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks do battle in a game that I think is going to be one of the most compelling games that we've seen in recent memory here. Obviously, the storyline starts, of course, with Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold, I've been talking all week long about how this guy is maybe changing the way you look at how you're going to build your football team. We'll talk more about that in a little bit here, but that's a storyline there. Or how about the emergence of Drake Maye? He becomes just the second guy at the age of 23 years of age to make it to a Super Bowl. You know who the other guy was? The other guy was Dan Marino. How about Drake Maye? Here he is, a young football player that was taken in the first round. The Patriots had fumbled the ball with Mac Jones. And all of a sudden now you have this young player making plays in an AFC championship game to punch their ticket to get to Santa Clara. And here he is here at the age of 23. I mean, it's a great run for him. And could we possibly be seeing another run by the New England Patriots? Could it be another 20-year run? That's another storyline going into this. Look, the Seahawks running game is going to have to be really a factor in this ball game. If this football team is really going to push the gamut, Kenneth Walker's going to have to really carry the mail because Charbonneau is no longer in the lineup here because of injuries. He's going to have to really carry their mail and keep time of possession, field position, because that's one of the great things that this Seahawks team does. This Seahawks team has been built so great by John Schneider, the general manager. They built it with defense. They built it with an offensive line, situational play calling. Clint Kubiak has done an absolutely sensational job with this football team when it comes to moving the sticks. JSN, take a look at what JSN has done. JSN, what I love about him, they move him around the entire lineup. They put him in the slot. They put him at wide. They put him at Z. And if you really look at the other personnel on the field for the Seattle Seahawks, make no mistake about it, okay? There's not a lot of frontline guys that are on that offense where you see that they're going to be able to move the sticks with superstar talent. JSN is a superstar talent. And I think Clint Kubiak, who I believe is going to become the next head football coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, has done such a spectacular job at moving all those guys around. It's one of the most proficient offenses that we have in the National Football League. I love watching that offense. And then on the other hand, you have the troubled Stephon Diggs. Folks, he's brought to New England for one thing, for games like this. Stephon Diggs, in my opinion, has to be a superstar. He's got to be Randy Moss in this football game. He's got to be the guy that carries the football team through the air because they really don't have a lot of stars on that football team. I mean, Stephon Diggs has to be the star. You know, we saw him when he was at Buffalo. He has the capability of being that type of guy. But will he have the focus in this game that they're going to need? Look, I think Josh McDaniels has done a fabulous job with this offense. You know, you can say whatever you want, the offensive coordinator. I happen to think he's one of the best OCs in all of pro football. I know, failure as a head football coach. You know what fans sometimes seemingly do? They tie in to a fact that if a guy's a failure as a head football coach, what they'll do is they'll go, well, this guy's not a good coach. Being a head football coach and being a positional coach is absolutely two different things. Bill Parcells told me this a long time ago. When he made that transition from being a position coach to being the head football coach of the New York Giants, he said that was one of the biggest transitions that he ever thought that he was going to have to make, and how hard that transition was. Think about it. When you make a transition as a player from the college ranks unto the pros, there is a learning curve, right? For all of those players. Well, there's a learning curve also for a coach to learn how to become a head football coach. And that's exactly what Josh McDaniel has been able to do, is go back to his roots. Hey, look, he's a play caller. Plain and simple. Is he a head coach? No, he's not a head coach, but he's a play caller. You know, the story that I've been talking a lot about has been Sam Darnold. I bring this up for all New York Jet fans. Can you imagine you're sitting back and you're watching a guy and how it started in the Meadowlands for this guy here? What was the lines? Sam Darnold sees ghost. Sam Darnold's a bust. Sam Darnold's not very good. I am shocked on how it started, but I think this shows you again, we give up on these guys too soon. Organizations, I think, fail quarterbacks. Organizations don't have the patience. I heard Kurt Warner say before that you have to probably give a quarterback 4 to 5 years to find out what he truly is. I've heard Jared Goff even say he thinks 7 years that it takes to find out whether or not a quarterback can play in this league. Look at how quick we pulled the trigger on some of these guys, and we're watching these reclamation projects now starting to emerge. We see one down in Tampa. We see with what Baker Mayfield has done. Make no mistake about it, man. I think Sam Darnold's story in the Super Bowl, would you rather have an elite roster, or would you rather have a quarterback that makes plays for you but may not be elite? Do you know Sam Darnold makes $30 million a year? That's half of what Dak Prescott makes. That's half. $30 million. It's one of the greatest deals in pro football. But what does that do? It gives you the affordability to build your roster and to fill holes on other parts of your football team that you may need to bring free agents in. You may have to make moves when it comes to the NFL draft. Look at both of these rosters, okay? Look at these rosters. You got a rookie deal quarterback in Drake Maye, right? On the other hand, what you have also with Sam Darnold is you have a $30 million journeyman. This is how you build rosters. Go back to New England and what made the secret sauce for New England. Tom Brady was a 6th-round, 199th pick in the NFL draft. How do you think they built that dynasty up for over 20 years? You know how they did it? Because Brady wasn't on a giant deal, and something else Brady did. Brady never was the highest paid player in the history of the National Football League when he was in New England. He reinvested into the roster, and that's why that defense, offensive line, think about this when Brady was there in New England. There is no first-round Hall of Fame type player that they ever won a Super Bowl with that was a skilled guy. Gronk was a second-rounder. Edelman and Amendola, these guys weren't top-flight guys. Of all the skilled people that Brady had there, make it no mistake, there weren't first-rounders. You're starting to see a little bit of that here. Hey, don't forget my great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America, and family-run and family-owned. I know Ultima and John Morgan for over 25 years. Friends, I'm telling you, if you ever hurt or injured on the job, this is the place that you go. Family down in Florida was initially offered $350,000. They ended up getting $12 million in a settlement. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. We're going to talk some football with one of my friends now. I got to tell you, I really enjoyed talking some football with Adam Kaplan. We'll get his thoughts coming up on this Belichick controversy. We'll do that next. Keep it right here on Sports Board.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. Sports Grid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can cap
capitalize.
We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on Sports Grid.
They're just unblemished everywhere. They dominate you defensively, and they have offensive balance. They force turnovers and control the glass. Let's put it to you like this. UConn isn't just undefeated. They're a tyrant over the women's basketball landscape. March won't expose them much as they will confirm their invincibility.
College basketball today. Only on Sports Grid.
How could you tell the story of baseball without Clemens, Rose, and Bonds? You don't have a Hall of Fame if you don't have those three dudes. Sills, you know what, man? These guys took steroids. There wasn't a steroid test and a PED test in Major League Baseball at the time. Do you understand this?
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on Sports Grid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So so that was, I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show. Only on Sports Grid.
You know, usually we don't get massive stories in the bye week, but we got one this past week here. You know, you got to have to kind of carry the mail a little bit until the game the following Sunday. But boy, I'll tell you, when the story started leaking out from the reporters at ESPN, and then you started doing your due diligence and you started finding out that Bill Belichick wasn't going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Adam Kaplan is here with us. And Adam, what was your initial response when you heard that a guy with 334 victories and 8 Super Bowls and Coach Tom Brady and Lawrence Taylor is not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yeah, Dan, good to see you. Yeah, so my first reaction was I'd love to talk to the people that didn't vote for him. I don't understand that. Yeah, if I had a Hall of Fame vote, I vote in other things, but I don't have a Hall of Fame vote. But if I did, I absolutely would have put him in the first ballot as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Whether it's Deflategate or Spygate, and Deflategate he had nothing to do with. Spygate, okay, that's a different story. But you have to make a decision about how you're evaluating this coach. And also any player when you vote for the Hall of Fame about putting a player in early versus later. It's to me, it's absurd. I understand the Hall of Fame process for pro football is different than MLB. I totally get that. MLB is way more statistically based, where the NFL is a little bit harder. It's a little bit more nebulous. But when you look at the situation with Belichick, give me a reason why he shouldn't be in a Hall of Fame. Again, are you strictly as a voter saying, hey, I can't get over what happened in Spygate. I can't get over that. Okay, that's fine. But because we don't have a transparency with this situation, we're truly not going to know exactly why the guys who said, no, I'm not doing it this year, why they felt that way.
How about this, though, Adam? Okay, if you're going to use that metric, let's say they're using that metric that, it's Deflategate and Spygate. Well, obviously, then that's going to affect their thought process on Brady being a slam dunk Hall of Famer, too, because let's not forget something about Deflategate. Bill wasn't really implicated in that.
I know.
That was the trainer, and that was Brady, who was actually suspended 4 games for that at the beginning of a season. So, I mean, if you're going to use that metric and go down that lane, Adam, I mean, that affects Brady too, no?
It should. It absolutely should. Because Belichick, as I said earlier here to start this, that he had nothing to do with Belichick, nothing to do with Deflategate. I know I know talking to friends around the league and personnel, they're always going to wonder about Belichick because of what happened with Spygate. That bothered a lot of people. I lived that when I was at ESPN. I remember. But it's more Deflategate because I was actually there during Deflategate. But a lot of the Spygate stuff came up because they weren't sure then if Belichick was or wasn't involved. Then we know for a fact he wasn't involved. But some conspiracy theorists who work for NFL teams will never get over Belichick and Spygate. They just won't ever forgive him. No matter what people tell you about it's been going on in the league for years with other teams. That's not the way they see it, because they always wondered, how could you win so many Super Bowls and do it the way that they did it? Is it just Brady? Is what is a coach? What Dan, on your question though, what do you want to give Belichick credit for? Is it just because he couldn't win a Super Bowl without Brady, and then versus having him? Hey, by the way, Belichick made the call to draft Brady. Let's not forget about that. To move this along here, if I had a vote, and if I was in the room, right, and let's say you and I were on the panel, and let's say I was presenting, I would say, guys, give me the reasons why you wouldn't want Bill as a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I would challenge those guys. I would go up against it because I would have so much in scout. There are so many great things folks don't know about Belichick in terms of scouting, how he does it. He was the first one, because I know for friends who work for the Patriots, to talk about 11 personnel, and we're going to go more 11. That's 3 receivers, 1 back, and 1 tight end, because that's the way I see it. This is the trend of the league now. We're going to start doing this. And he was right. That's when he made the trade, which people thought was crazy with the Dolphins to get Wes Welker. He was so innovative. He just for the innovation, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I made the comment when someone always says, well, he didn't win without Brady. Well, Adam, I mean, Bill Walsh didn't win without Joe Montana. Chuck Noll didn't win without Terry Bradshaw. Most of these tremendous coaches outside of Joe Gibbs, who had Joe Gibbs had 3 different quarterbacks that he won Super Bowls with. Name me a Hall of Fame coach that went in that didn't have a Hall of Fame quarterback tied to his waist. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, Troy Aikman. So I always thought that argument was a little flawed, because I thought the coach's responsibility was to build the team around those guys and that talent. And that's what those Hall of Fame coaches did.
Yeah, and also to develop them. I mean, he takes Julian Edelman, a college quarterback, and he obviously got a good tip that said, hey, he's got great true area quickness through a workout. So they converted him from option quarterback to slot receiver. What a great story he was. The list goes on and on and on of the players that he developed. Teddy Bruschi, by the way, Rob Ninkovich. I mean, you and I, Dan, could do a segment on the players that came out of nowhere that developed under Belichick. Sometimes nobody else wanted. I know Teddy played for Parcells, but Teddy took his career to another level with Bill. It's just, and also don't forget about Belichick's time with the Giants as their Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. This all matters.
Absolutely. You could make the argument, Adam. You could put him in just solely as a defensive coordinator and put him in that conversation as one of the greatest defensive coordinators. That game that he put that game plan together in the second Super Bowl for the Giants against the Bills, when they only rushed 2 guys and they were dropping people in that K-gun, that was innovative at the time. Nobody was seeing that. They did something completely out of the box to stop the Kelly K-gun. I don't think people realize how great he was there.
And it wasn't as though they made the decision like 2 months before the game. They actually made it within 7 days. Bill presented it, as I understood it. Bill presented it. Parcells signed off of it. They both talked about it, and they felt it was the best decision to do. Is you've got to find some way to find more defenders on the back end to slow down the K-gun, which was revolutionary, as you talked about with Jim Kelly and the great Andre Reed, who's a Hall of Famer, and others. And it was just a great game plan. That is unbelievable coaching. This stuff, I mean, Dan, we could talk about this all day. It's just ridiculous. Right. Football stuff. Yeah, it's just this is what folks don't know. But honestly, I would love to know, because a lot of people who cover the league like myself don't think that Pro Football Hall of Fame, in terms of the way they select players, how they do it, and what the process is, it's transparent enough. I would love to, because in Major League Baseball, they kind of gets out when someone's like one of the few lone voters against the guy should get in. I want to know who those guys were.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's one of the most ridiculous stories that I've seen when it comes to a player and a coach or anybody that's going to be considered for the Hall of Fame in Canton. We're going to talk a little Super Bowl with our friend Adam Kaplan. We'll talk about some of these hires as well. We'll do that next, right here on Sports Grid.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. Sports Grid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize.
We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on Sports Grid.
They're just unblemished everywhere. They dominate you defensively, and they have offensive balance. They force turnovers, they control the glass. Let's put it to you like this. UConn isn't just undefeated. They're a tyrant over the women's basketball landscape. March won't expose them much as they will confirm their invincibility.
College basketball today. Only on Sports Grid.
How could you tell the story of baseball without Clemens, Rose, and Bonds? You don't have a Hall of Fame if you don't have those three dudes. Sills, you know what, man? These guys took steroids. There wasn't a steroid test and a PED test in Major League Baseball at the time. Do you understand this?
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on Sports Grid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So yeah, so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show. Only on Sports Grid.
Super Bowl Sunday is rapidly approaching. Super Bowl 60. I mean, I'll tell you, I think these two football teams have arguably two of the best coaching staffs. Think about this here as we bring Adam Kaplan. Adam, think about this here, man. I mean, look at the head coaches. Mike McDonald, who's a defensive guru, and then you have Mike Vrabel, obviously also. Look at the coordinators as well. I mean, you have Clint Kubiak, who's probably going to get the Raider gig. And then on the other side, you have Josh McDaniels, who's done a marvelous job with Drake Maye. I mean, I don't think you can ask for a better coach football teams heading into Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, I voted for Josh McDaniels for Assistant Coach of the Year for Pro Football Writers Association, Dan. In fact, that is the second highest regarded voting other than AP. Like, Associated Press is number one, and we at the Pro Football Writers Association are number two. And it's recognized by everyone. And I thought, I mean, there are a lot of great jobs that have been done. Vic Fangio, you could go through a lot of great coaching jobs around the National Football League. But Josh McDaniels, I know he was a bad head coach. I get that. He was really bad with Denver and the Raiders. But the job that he's done to coach Drake Maye up, I don't think Drake Maye could be this good. I know the haters of the Patriots and Drake Maye and everything that happened with the Patriots. They don't want to give him any credit. They don't want to give Josh McDaniels credit. I'll admit it. I had them for 8 or 9 wins. I thought that would be because Vrabel's a great coach. I thought it'd be around 8. Should be under 500. I didn't. It's 14-3. Like, you can't be serious. They lost to the Raiders for goodness sake week 1. Like, you can't make this up. we could talk all we want, Dan, about scheduling, but you can't get to the Super Bowl with being a bad team. It is really funny. What's out there on social media about the Patriots aren't very good. They've had an easy schedule. Okay. Yes, comparatively. Now, when I do my strength of schedule, I base it solely on the current season, what I think it's going to look like. Yeah, you could look at how teams ended last year, but that's not realistic. Their coaching changes, front office changes, the draft, free agency, players released, players cut. That's why everything changes. I thought Seattle would make a run. I said that on Sports Grid to start week 1. That was one of my teams I thought could go far. I just didn't think they could do it with Sam Darnold. You talked about him earlier. He's making $37.5 in cash this season. That is well below what a top-tier quarterback will get paid. You're absolutely right. I'm just stunned. You know what? I cannot believe what he did against the Rams. Just shocked. I didn't see that. His problem, Dan, has been processing, is staring down pass targets. He did the same thing with the Jets and the Panthers. And then they get hit, and then they blame the offensive coaches for it when it's really on the quarterback. But Clint Kubiak, who you talked about earlier, what a job he's done. Son of Gary, who's really, to me, a Hall of Fame coach. who's a Super Bowl winner as a backup to John Elway as a quarterback with the Broncos, and great head coach, by the way, and great coordinator. And this is an unbelievable story. And his son Clay with the Niners is a really up-and-coming offensive mind.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you're dead on with what they've done and how they've coached Sam Darnold. I mean, it's been remarkable. And would you agree going into this here that these two teams got to Super Bowl 60 based off their defenses?
And I would say somewhat of the run game. Yes, Seattle's defense has been lights out, even better than I thought. Because if you think about it, right, Josh Jobe, who is a number 5 corner for the Eagles, and only a special teamer, really. He didn't really play on corner. Eagles didn't want him. They cut him. He starts for them. Tariq Woolen.
Right.
We're going to talk more about this next Sunday leading up, because I got enough on him from some people on the league that I trust. He obviously didn't play very well in the last game. Somehow they won it. Matthew Stafford crushed them. I mean, he crushed them. The Seahawks should be fortunate that they escaped. But they're very deep with edge rushers. They're really deep up the middle. They're super well coached by Mike McDonald, who's been a better head coach than I thought he would be. It's just a great story. But one thing I want to mention about the Patriots, I'm talking to them, they kind of know who they are. Now, you mentioned their defense. Milt Williams has been a big-time free agency signing. He's going to make $58 million over 2 seasons of his contract, the first 2. That's all fully guaranteed. Christian Gonzalez is a superior corner. I voted to be an All-Pro or All-NFL, by the way, for us at the PFWA. He's fantastic. Robert Spillane, very underrated. But it's not a great roster. I know some Patriots fans don't like me saying that, but that's the way people in the league feel that I've talked to. Great coaching, good schemes. As you know, as a football player, Dan, you can't win without good schemes and buy-in.
Right.
And Vrabel, one more, I'm going to tell you a quick story that I'm going to give you cliff notes on. You know, he was the way he was with the Titans, very intense. He still is. But talking to people with the Patriots, he's been a much better connector with not only his players, meaning sometimes one-on-one with the coaches should see how they're doing personally. I did not hear that from the Titans when he was there. Maybe his year out. I know he's a coaching consultant with the Browns, but this is a great job he's done. One of the all-time jobs by Mike Vrabel, who I voted for Coach of the Year, by the way. Head Coach of the Year.
Boy, I'll tell you what, sometimes you learn, like, coaches, when they get fired at a previous place, they take some of the things that they learned and they take them into their next gig. And no doubt about it. Adam, we'll catch you next week on Super Bowl Sunday. Look forward to it. Philly Godfathers.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. Sports Grid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize.
We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh, my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on Sports Grid.
They're just unblemished everywhere. They dominate you defensively, and they have offensive balance. They force turnovers and control the glass. Let's put it to you like this. UConn isn't just undefeated. They're a tyrant over the women's basketball landscape. March won't expose them much as they will confirm their invincibility.
College basketball today. Only on Sports Grid.
How could you tell the story of baseball without Clemens, Rose, and Bonds? You don't have a Hall of Fame if you don't have those 3 dudes. Sills, you know what, man? These guys took steroids. There wasn't a steroid test and a PED test in Major League Baseball at the time. Do you understand this?
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on Sports Grid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie. And I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So, so that was, I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show with.
The Smiley Show. Only on Sports Grid.
Make No mistake about it, my friends. We have a sports calendar coming up like no other. I mean, check this out here. Take a look at this here. So on February 6th, which is next week, the Olympic Games start, right? We got the Super Bowl on the 8th. Then we have college basketball, the World Baseball Classic. Let's not forget the NFL drafts in there too in April. There it is right there. Look at all this here, man. I mean, NBA Finals coming up in June. You have, like, one of my favorite events of all time is the Masters at the Augusta National. I mean, sports sells. This is the number one product that sells, is sports. You see it dominating the top 100 television shows. 93 of the top 100 shows in American television are sporting events. And it is without a doubt one of the biggest investments that a lot of these companies and these media companies are starting to make. Now, here's one thing that I'll throw at you here. So right now, ESPN and the National Football League are working on a deal, and they are working on a conclusion to potentially ESPN buying the NFL Network. It looks like that's going to close up. The government and ESPN is going to close this up and have this business deal done. My question would be, when it comes to covering sports, the NFL now is going to own 10% of ESPN. So my question would go down the lane of this. Okay, how are you going to cover the National Football League? How are you going to give us fair and balanced coverage when you own 10% of ESPN? If there's a story about an owner, how are you covering that? How are you covering the NFL draft? How are you giving us the information? Isn't that a conflict of interest that the National Football League would have 10% of ESPN? Think about it. National Football League. So ESPN is buying NFL fantasy, and they're also acquiring the Red Zone channel. So with that, ESPN now has all of the National Football League's television, and that means the NFL Network. The NFL Network was instituted for one thing. That was to promote the National Football League. They weren't going to run negative stories in any way whatsoever. So when you're now a part owner, how does ESPN, how does ESPN and NFL deliver the content? How are they delivering it? How are they giving it to you? Are they giving it to you in fair and balance? See, to me, again, when you're covering the National Football League, the National Football League is one of the most complex leagues in all of American sports. When you have a story where guys are taking knees, or you have a social issue, how is ESPN, which, by the way they cover, take a look at some of their TV shows that they have on their network. My question is going to be, what's the NFL's involvement? How do you not have a conflict of interest with this purchase? So when I'm watching, again, I'm not saying the deal's bad here. What I'm saying is, when you tune on anything, I don't care what it is, when you have a seat at the board of directors table and you're talking about owning and being an owner and having influence on content, how in the world are you not going to be jaded towards your business partner? So I get it. This was a big move by both. ESPN has come out, and so has the commissioner, Roger Goodell, has come out and said that, hey, listen, there's going to be no conflict of interest. If you're trying to tell me that you don't believe that influence is not made when it comes to covering sports, take a look at the storyline that we just came through this week with Bill Belichick. Look at the influence that you had there sitting in the room. Don't tell me that this is not going to be something that's going to cross people's minds when you tune on that network. Also, does that mean now that ESPN gets the opportunity to, do they get the best games? Is this going to be an influence from like the National Football League and Park Avenue on making sure ESPN and Monday Night Football is going to get, without a doubt, they're going to get the best ball games, the best coverage, the most. And by the way, are you going to get fair and balanced coverage? This is a compelling story. A lot of people aren't covering this story because, again, they look at it and they're like, well, you know, I mean, this was just them selling the NFL network. No, this is about the coverage and how the coverage of the National Football League is going to be presented to the fans. I think this is a big deal. And how and in the future the league is going to be covered, I think is going to show us again a little bit of what ESPN is. I think ESPN has, over the last couple of years, has not been really a great connector with its fans. Look at all the people that they've ended up losing when it comes to subscriptions and people tuning into that network because of the type of shows that they have. This right here is going to tell us a lot. Now, supposedly it's going to be, the T's will be crossed, the I's will be dotted, and they're going to have all this taken care of by the time beginning of the Super Bowl, or excuse me, the beginning of September, and having the start of the regular season. This stuff will be all finished up here. But how this goes down, I don't know how you don't go through the lane of having a conflict of interest. And I heard the commissioner, and he'll address this at the State of the National Football League. This will be one of the bigger questions asked. International play, how many teams are going to be playing in the next couple of years, and this deal that the government and ESPN and the National Football League are closing up on. I mean, again, you know, I was asked this past week a little bit about that, and without a doubt, make no mistake, I think this is going to be a storyline. All right, so one of my favorite people on the planet, he's got a bestseller book out there. He is our friend, the legendary Philly Godfather. He joins us now with has to be one of the biggest weeks in all of sports betting. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. It's the calm before the storm. Looking at a lot of prop bets, looking at a lot of sides, totals, just trying to find an edge in the Super Bowl. We've done extremely well in the past, and hopefully that trend continues. But it's going to be a great Super Bowl. Two great offensive and defensive teams, so you really don't know what to expect here.
What's the biggest right now prop you're seeing? Where are people putting their money on right now? If it was Sam Darnold, I mean, what kind of props are you seeing around Sam Darnold now?
I mean, you got MVP. He's the favorite at plus 120, which surprised me a little bit because, I mean, he's played well in the playoffs. He hasn't thrown an interception, but he's only averaging about 235 passing yards per game. And this is the type of year with these quarterbacks that aren't considered to be elite, even though Drake Maye has played lights out in the regular season. This might be a year where defensive players might end up being the MVP, or maybe a running back, or maybe a tight end. But there's a lot of Sam Darnold passing touchdown props, MVP props I'm seeing. But there's a million props out there. So, you know, pick your poison, guys.
How about JSN? What kind of props are on him going into Super Bowl 60?
I think you get like plus 500 to be MVP. There's a bunch of receiving props. I mean, there's so many props out there. It just depends, you know, where you think you got an edge. Now, I haven't fired away yet on any of these Super Bowl props. We're going to start tomorrow. So, but we're going through it with a fine-tooth comb, and we're looking to find an edge, and hopefully we make some money again this year.
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to hold you for one more segment here. I want to get your thoughts on the new Eagle OC. The guy's been a coach. He's been a coach for 25 months. We'll do that next. Keep it right here on Sports Grid.
You wouldn't have your ex officiate your wedding.
Do you, Jake? Liar? Cheater? Gaslighter?
So why have anyone but America's largest injury law firm handle your injury case? With over $30 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Gaslighter, coitus crier, he's got more red flags than a bullfighter's attire.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into Sports Grid and get ahead of the class.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. Sports Grid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize.
We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on Sports Grid.
How could you tell the story of baseball without Clemens, Rose, and Bonds? You don't have a Hall of Fame if you don't have those three dudes. Sills, you know what, man? These guys took steroids. There wasn't a steroid test and a PED test in Major League Baseball at the time. Do you understand this?
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on Sports Grid.
They're just unblemished everywhere. They dominate you defensively, and they have offensive balance. They force turnovers, they control the glass. Let's put it to you like this. UConn isn't just undefeated. They're a tyrant over the women's basketball landscape. March won't expose them much as they will confirm their invincibility.
College basketball today. Only on Sports Grid.
And one of my favorite guests that we get on our program all the time is the legendary Philly Godfather. And by the way, yes, I have my own personal edition of the legendary book that's #1 on Amazon right now. Brother, appreciate you very much. Book's doing well, I'm hearing, man, right?
Doing real well, and I actually got a couple bucks. They sent me a couple bucks. I'm working on the screenplay for a TV series, so nothing in concrete yet, but they did send me a couple dollars, and we're trying to get this this pilot off the ground.
And who's going to be in that pilot, potentially? Who may be in this TV? You bet. It looks like I may be getting a role in that thing, no?
Absolutely, man. You know how to ride a motorcycle, right? So I'm going to put you down as one of the gang leaders of the motorcycle gang. So, yeah, you're big sills in the house, baby.
Hey, how appropriate, people would say. Adam Kaplan goes like this a couple minutes ago. That's appropriate. All right. Hey, so real quick, what you make of the new OC hire, Sean Mannion? He's only been a coach 25 months. And, his resume doesn't really spell that this guy's got a lot of experience. What'd you make of that hire?
I mean, I think he's walking into a hornet's nest with all the behind-the-scenes drama in the Eagles locker room. There's high expectations in Philly. It's kind of like a pressure cooker walking into that Eagles locker room. The Eagles have been in the Super Bowl twice in the last few years. Have won 2 Super Bowls in the last 9. So the good thing is he's going to an organization that wants to win and does everything they can to win. Harry Roseman, one of the best GMs in football, and they strive for excellence, even though they didn't achieve it last year and they fell short, mainly because of that offensive line. In my opinion, they were banged up. They weren't creating the holes. They couldn't run the game. They couldn't, protect Jalen Hurts. And people talk about, Jalen Hurts all the time. Has he regressed? What happened with Jalen Hurts? I think he's the same quarterback he's always been. He just didn't have the pieces around him, especially that offensive line. So the good thing is for Mannion, I mean, that team on offense is loaded with so much talent, probably the most talent in the NFL on the offensive side of football. If you look at the futures for next year, they have the 4th best odds to win the Super Bowl, still behind Seattle, Buffalo, and the Rams. So this team, the nucleus of this team is still strong. If they can stay healthy, if they can find some key pieces for that offensive line to have them play better this year, I think he's going to have success. Now, if you look at the last 4 offensive coordinators, 2 of them ended up being head coaches, and the other 2, they got canned. So I guess he's got a 50-50 shot if you look at the sample box. But he's young, he's hungry. He did a great job with Jordan Love and the backup over there. I forget his name. And
yeah, Malik
I
Willis.
wish him the best. Yeah, I wish him the best. Yeah, with Willis. He's got a strong supporting cast around him. I don't know how much he's going to be running the entire offensive coordinator show, but he's got some good people that want to win, and I think he's going to have success, man, to tell you the truth.
What'd you make of the Belichick controversy this week? I mean, what were your takeaways on it?
If you look at every head coach that went in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, you look at their resume, then you look at Belichick's resume. He's got more Super Bowl wins or the same amount of Super Bowl wins as all those coaches combined. So, I mean, how do you snub the guy? I mean, it's a bad look for the NFL Hall of Fame. You got to leave. You got to leave your emotions when you're voting. You leave your emotions at your girlfriend's house, and you look at his resume. It's the best ever in the NFL. I mean, the Patriots this year, they're back in the Super Bowl. This is a team that's been part of, I think, like 20% of all Super Bowls, and Belichick was a big part of that. Snubbing him here, it's just stupid in my opinion, to be honest, man. He should be in the Hall of Fame already.
How about this? Do you agree, Bob Kraft? Next week, we'll find out if he's a Hall of Famer or not. You think he's the greatest owner in the Super Bowl era?
I mean, how can you argue that he's not? He's had the best, arguably the best head coach ever. He had the best quarterback of all time. He's had the most success of any owner in history. And now with another coach, Mike Vrabel, who I really like a lot, he's back in the Super Bowl again. So how can you argue with success? You can't argue with the man's, his desire to win, to put the pieces together. And he might win it again this year as a 5-point underdog.
How about this? This will be the 11th time that they're in the Super Bowl. And look at the chain of events that have gone on since he bought the team from Victor Kiam. He went to the Super Bowl with Parcells and with Bledsoe. Then he turns around and he goes on that iconic run with Belichick and with Brady. And now here he is again with Drake May and with, Mike Vrabel. It's incredible on what they've done. I mean, general manager, Scott Pioli. Now they've got Elliott Wolf, who's Ron Wolf's son, that's now running the organization. That's an organization that empowers people, isn't it? And that's probably one of the reasons that makes them really the gold standard, I would think, in the NFL.
I agree with you 100%. And if you take out the little massage scandal they had in the Deflategate, I mean, he's the greatest owner of all time. And my buddy Rucci actually was on that offensive line with Bledsoe when they went to the Super Bowl and they ended up losing that year. But you can't argue with success. He's got to be the best owner of all time. Belichick's the best coach of all time, and Brady is the GOAT of all time. So how can you argue with that? I mean, he had every piece of the puzzle, and now they're gone, and he continues to win, and they're back in the Super Bowl. So the proof's in the pudding, and they're back in the Super Bowl. And don't be surprised, like I said, if they went outright as 5-point underdogs.
Godfather, do you think that with the way the owners are looking at hopefully trying to get Bob Kraft into the Hall of Fame next Thursday, do you think that these voters will take some of the things that they held against Bill Belichick and hold it against Brady on being a first ballot Hall of Famer?
That's really hard to do. I mean, he went to Tampa Bay, and I had him that year at 50-1 to win the Super Bowl. I was lucky enough to get some information. He was headed there before the market reacted. And he won another Super Bowl with a different team. So how do you hold anything against Tom Brady? I mean, he's the face of the NFL right now. You got to put him in. There's no one better than Tom Brady. It just doesn't. I mean, coming back from 28-3 against the Atlanta Falcons in that Super Bowl, that's what cemented it for me. Before that, I was a big Joe Montana guy. 4 Super Bowls, no interceptions. But once he did that, it was a wrap, man. Tom Brady's the greatest of all time of any sport.
See, when I grow up one day, I want to be Tom Brady. I want to have the best looking girlfriend. I want to have all the trophies. I want to have all the money. When I grow up, I want to be Tom Brady. And I also want to be the legendary Philly Godfather who makes folks some money. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you very much.
Good luck, guys.
That is our friend, the legendary Philly Godfather. All right. We are going to do this next. LaFraud James. Sileo says, here on Sports Grid.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. Sports Grid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize.
We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on Sports Grid.
They're just unblemished everywhere. They dominate you defensively, and they have offensive balance. They force turnovers and control the glass. Let's put it to you like this. UConn isn't just undefeated. They're a tyrant over the women's basketball landscape. March won't expose them much as they will confirm their invincibility.
College basketball today. Only on Sports Grid.
How could you tell the story of baseball without Clemens, Rose, and Bonds? You don't have a Hall of Fame if you don't have those three dudes. Sills, you know what, man? These guys took steroids. There wasn't a steroid test and a PED test in Major League Baseball at the time. Do you understand this?
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on Sports Grid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie. And I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So, yeah, so that was, I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere.
Oh.
Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show. Only on Sports Grid.
And without a doubt, one of the absolutely fantastic times of the year, and that is we are a week out from Super Bowl 60. Make no mistake about it, the biggest and the best when it comes to sitting here and having a great, great week of football. But I got to start this bad puppy out here with LeBron James, and I'm going to tell you why. LeBron James has done nothing to move the needle when it comes to viewership for the NBA. So I saw him in Cleveland, and I saw him, you know, they had some sort of ceremonial video for him for all of his time there when he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I'll make this point to you. There's no doubt that LeBron James has done nothing, in my opinion, to move the needle when it comes to viewership of the NBA. And here's why Jordan will always rule. Michael Jordan put the NBA, after taking what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird did, and elevated viewership because it was compelling. LeBron has actually lost viewership. The Lakers have not been that great under LeBron James. Now, if you want to talk about the Mickey Mouse NBA title they won during COVID, fine. But the one thing you could say about Maverick Carter and LeBron James has been that this has all been orchestrated. It's funny, when I watch Steph Curry to me is genuine. Nothing looks orchestrated. I enjoy watching Steph Curry. I love how Steph Curry represents himself and has changed the game. You can ask yourself this. And by the way, I want to come back full circle here and say this about LeBron. Is LeBron James one of the only players in the NBA in the history of the sport that you could play him at the 1, the 2, you could play him small, off, you could play him on the pivot? Isn't he one of these guys that he could play really all 5 positions? There's no doubt he's one of the top 5 players the game has ever seen. I'm talking about elevating the sport, bringing people, needle movers, Tiger Woods, Tyson, Tom Brady, the NFL, needle movers. And what I mean by needle movers are people that are compelling. Whatever you want to say. Here, one of my favorite things in sports is this. You know, I get asked this question all the time about the politics in sports today. My favorite word is compelling. Whether you like Trump or not, it's not important to me. I love the word compelling. I love people who are with an opinion. And I love people that move the needle. That's what my business is. My business is about covering people that move the needle. LeBron James never moved it in the NBA. You know, one of the coolest things that I had when I was a kid growing up was watching Magic and Larry. You know what David Stern did? David Stern sold race. He sold greatness. He sold legendary franchises with Celtics and with Lakers. I was a Magic Johnson guy. I'll always be a Magic Johnson guy. But it was compelling. Then you moved into Jordan. The NBA was must-see, was appointment-setting television. It was wonderful. LeBron James, when he leaves with Maverick Carter, his business partner, the NBA, ask yourself, all the things that LeBron has done in his career, will we ever say he's better than Michael Jordan? No. Michael Jordan has played basketball in over 20 years. And Michael Jordan is still the most compelling figure the NBA has ever produced. Plus, look at the brand, Nike. I'm a Jordan guy, as you can tell. I'll always be. I follow greatness. I follow compelling. LeBron James did nothing to move the needle for the NBA and where it is today. When he leaves the game, the sport's in a worse place than it was when he first came into the game. The greatest longevity athlete of all time in NBA history, no doubt. There's so many great things to say about him. But at the end of the day, was he a needle mover that made people want to come and watch NBA basketball? The answer is no. When you watch Jordan and you watch that one last shot, you know, when he went up against Utah and he makes that final shot, nobody remembers the Washington Wizards. He makes that final shot. Everyone will always have that etched in their memory in sports history. Jordan winning that 6th championship. Ratings were through the roof. When LeBron leads the game, as I said, it'll be in a worse spot. It's not in a better spot. It's in a worse spot. That's the crazy thing about the NFL. You can lose Brady and Manning. Ratings still go up. That's the NFL. The NFL is a brand itself. We're going to talk to our friend Armando Salguero from Outkick right here on Sports Grid next.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. Sports Grid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize.
We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on Sports Grid.
They're just unblemished everywhere. They dominate you defensively and they have offensive balance. They force turnovers and control the glass. Let's put it to you like this. UConn isn't just undefeated. They're a tyrant over the women's basketball landscape. March won't expose them much as they will confirm their invincibility.
College basketball today. Only on Sports Grid.
How could you tell the story of baseball without Clemens, Rose, and Bonds? You don't have a Hall of Fame if you don't have those three dudes. Sills, you know what, man? These guys took steroids. There wasn't a steroid test and a PED test in Major League Baseball at the time. Do you understand this?
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on Sports Grid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie. And I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So, yeah, so that was, I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show with.
The Smiley Show. Only on Sports Grid.